Imagine a sphere. It's perfectly hollow, but it lives inside you and can accommodate, say, a ping pong ball with room to move freely. The ball hits one wall of the sphere and caroms off toward another. Well, I can't say I'm clever enough for a physics lesson. Let's assume the ball bounces in perpetuity. This is how I've experienced fatherhood. Each of those bounces a new emotion. If you're anything like me, parent or not, it's hard enough to process what emotion you're feeling in the moment, let alone fathom the cumulative effect of the experience. When you're expecting a kid, other parents always try to share their best advice. It may be a little tedious at times, but I think in the end it's sweet. I think people just like to relate. If you lose a job, people relate to you by talking about the times they lost a job. If a loved one passes away, people talk about the times that their loved ones pass away. If you're having a child, people relate by talking about their experiences having a child. But when it's all said and done, when you see the baby, your baby, for the very first time, nobody can accurately describe to you what that feels like. At that moment, for me, there was a bit of quantum mechanics going on because the ping pong ball was suddenly hitting on every emotion at the same time. You look at your baby, maybe they're a little gray, wrinkly, wet. Maybe they look like an alien or an angry old man or a sausage casing stuffed with mashed potatoes. That ping pong ball hit on your funny bone and all you can do is laugh. Then you hear your baby crying and you realize you have absolutely no clue what you're supposed to do next, despite all the advice you received. And that ping pong ball hits on fear, anxiety. None of those manage to outweigh the best feeling of all, though, unmitigated love. Still, being overcome, you know that all of these feelings are there. How do you address them while staying present in that elation for your child? Certainly, nobody can tell you what it feels like to drive home from the hospital for the first time after your baby is born, and the car seat is empty because you had to leave your baby in the NICU. I don't know if that emotion has a name. When Sam was in the NICU, we saw babies that had been there for months. We saw babies that were so premature, their parents hadn't even picked out a name yet. I couldn't possibly comprehend what that would feel like. We also saw babies get discharged home for the first time, and the look of pure joy on the faces of the parents and the NICU nurses who, by the way, showed us extraordinary courage and compassion. When Sam finally passed his glucose fast, 6 hours with no food at 10 days old, we knew we were taking him home, to his home, and we were overcome with joy. The neonatologist came by one last time, presumably to say goodbye, and she dropped on us her concern about Sam. His fingers and toes seemed off, the red mark on his forehead and his microcephaly, his undescended testes and his feeding troubles. She said, he may have Rubinstein-Taybi syndrome, and that would be not good. The ping pong ball reached light speed at that moment, and none of the bounces felt good. To be clear, it was obvious this doctor didn't want to have to tell us this, especially when parents get to the point of going home and suddenly everything feels all right. She didn't want to have to break difficult news. In fact, she called us directly the next day and apologized for how it happened. I think recognizing that on the last day when we were feeling so up, she knew she brought us way back down. But thank goodness she did. Here we are 15 months later, and our Sammy has a roadmap in front of him because she was so astute in recognizing the symptoms of a genetic condition that happens in only 1 out of, say, 200,000 births or so. In fact, several other doctors who have seen Sam since have commented that her observation was quite impressive, including his geneticist. I think I've mentioned it before as a worship associate, but one of my favorite places to go is Hunters Creek State Park in South Wales, New York, about a quarter mile down the road from my uncle's house, the house that he and my mom grew up in. Trails wind through green woods and steep ravines. The park is small enough to feel like you're a part of it, large enough that you can do a full hike and not see anyone else. I don't know the trail names. I don't know how many trails there are. I don't even know where the trails lead. When I go to Hunter's Creek, I just walk. As Yogi Berra said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Sometimes I end up down by the creek and sit by the water. One time I found myself surrounded by ferns. All this to say, when I hike at Hunter's Creek, I don't need to know where I'm going. If you're always looking at where you're going, you can forget to see where you are and embrace and appreciate the present. To be fair, Western New York isn't exactly bear country or mountain lion or wolf. And as I said, Hunter's Creek is small enough and well kept, so with just a little bit of foresight, that is, not going when it's dark and wearing semi-reasonable footwear and clothing, the risk of getting lost or in trouble is nominal. But it is there. I would say that, excuse me, feeling lost is a fairly universal experience. Whether physically, mentally, emotionally, or all of the above, most people have gone through periods of being unsure of where they are, and sometimes that can lead to breakdown or panic. I think part of that panic is driven by wanting or needing to find the way out, looking for the light ahead to show us the road. I'm an occasional deist and have been known to pray once or twice to whatever or whoever may be listening. And it's always, please help me find my way out. I don't recall ever praying, please help me understand where I am right now. I don't pray often, but I think when I do, it's really me praying to myself and trying to grapple with the feelings I have in that moment. By no means am I saying that we shouldn't plan ahead or work toward goals. That's a good thing to do, especially since feeling lost can be so incapacitating. But I do feel strongly that part of planning ahead should include being present in the moment, embracing the now and not letting that feeling of being lost become an anchor. The band Step Friends has a song called Process that says, I was lost, still might be. I feel better about it now. I feel better about it. You could be 100 years old and not know everything about yourself. It might just be the act of trying is really what this life is about. It might just be the meaning is in the process and not the result. We talk about being present a lot at First U, and sometimes it's a lot easier to talk about it than it is to live it. Being Sam's dad has brought me back to this feeling quite often. Sam has a lot of doctors on his care team, too many to list, and in 15 months he has seen more specialists than many people see in their lifetime. Beatrix and I have to coordinate schedules frequently, call CHOP together so we can agree on dates of appointments. We've navigated one surgery and have another in probably 6 to 12 months. We've read extensively about RTS and how it affects development, both physically and developmental and intellectual, We have spoken to doctors and other RTS families. We live parenthood through the lens of trying to know where we are going, what comes next. RTS has a very wide range in how it impacts development, and I won't get into specifics, but all we can do is prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. We hope someday Sam can walk, potty train, live independently or in a group home, but we can't know today where we will end up in 5, 10, 30 years, or even tomorrow. We do, however, know where we are. We make a point to do that. Sam is a baby. He only lives in the moment. Hungry, tired, poopy, silly, sad, scared. His sphere is much smaller than ours, and his ping pong ball is much more erratic and frenetic. Moreover, he doesn't understand pretty much any of it, except he understands love. I know he does. I see it on his face. When we walk into the room and he looks at us with his full body smile, thanks to Kate Saylor for that apt wording, it's my favorite way to describe his smile. When he does his little uncoordinated crawl toward us so we can pick him up and hug him, and he wraps his little arms around our neck and rests his little head on our shoulders, he understands that. We understand that. Everything else stops in that moment. Maybe you have a child with developmental disabilities or health concerns, or maybe they're just having a colicky week. Maybe your child is struggling with addiction or legal troubles, or maybe they just had their heart broken for the first time. Maybe this isn't your child, it's you. These experiences can elicit strong emotions that we need to process while still holding on to the love we have for our children and ourselves. Grief is okay. Fear, sadness, concern, overwhelming, all normal. We can feel these in the present, and we can hold on to them along with the love and joy and kindness. It's too easy for me to think about the future, the challenges Sam will face in his life because of his genetic condition, and I start to worry. Who will take care of him? Who will love him when we are gone? It's so hard not to worry about those things until I pick him up, see him, and meet him in the here and now. Maybe fate is a thing, maybe not. But I know for sure that Sam is who he is because that's who he's supposed to be. It had to be Sam, just like we had to be Sam's mom and dad. There was a time when it had to be us, and it had to be you, too. We are, all of us, who we are supposed to be. Sam is likely to face a lot of difficult challenges in his life, and Beatrix and I will as well, but I can't imagine him any other way. While I wish I didn't have to face these challenges, that Beatrix and I didn't have to call so many doctors and monitor every aspect of his development, I can't picture my life without him, without this Sam. And because Sam and me and you, because we are all who we had to be, this world, this web, is such a brighter and more wonderful place. The ping pong ball seems to have eased up. Maybe thermodynamics in the sphere slowed it down and the volume of its impact. I'm just 15 months into being a dad, and I'm sure the ball will find a way to speed up and slow down again and again. Rubenstein-Taby children are referred to by their families and collective communities as rubies. I think that perfectly sums up our little gem of a baby. He's so strong and resilient through everything he has faced in his little life, and he's teaching me and Beatrix how to be strong and resilient through everything he faces in his life. I have no doubt there will be tough times ahead, just like I have no doubt that my love will grow in exponential proportion to Sam. He is a shining example of goodness in my eyes, even if at times he acts like a bratty little toddler.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.